Good morning, and thank you to everyone for taking time out of your day to attend the deep dive into the iPOS data presentation. For those that don't know me, my name is Steve Yena, and I work in the Graduate College's IT and data team. So goals for today, I hope that everyone leaves learning a little bit more about the iPOS, whether this is your first time ever hearing about that or you're a regular user. I hope everyone can take away something from it today. Plan is today for just a quick agenda. So we'll do a brief overview of what the iPOS is, talk about where some of the common reports and enriched data sets can be found. And then we'll break apart several of the key components of the iPOS, looking at the courses and degree requirements page, staff advisor, faculty committee, petitions, defenses, and design aspirations. And then save time at the end for questions. If you have questions as you go, feel free to throw them in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them. Or if you think of a question an hour from now or a week from now, you're welcome to Slack me or email me for sure. So with that, we'll dive right in. So what is the iPOS? So it's a tool that helps track students' progress and plan for their, completing their program and ensuring academic plan will be fulfilled. So helping students really progress towards their degree completion. And then on the academic side, programs work so hard to create this great curriculum and degree requirements. So it's a way for to ensure that the integrity of the degree is held as well. iPOS stands for Interactive Plan of Study, and it's been around since 2007, 2008. We did a major redesign in collaboration with UTO back in 2018, and really looked at how we can make it better, make it mobile, responsive, and a few more bells and whistles I'll talk through later on here. All graduate students are required to fill out an iPOS by their 50% mark of their program, and you must have a complete submitted and error-free iPOS in order to graduate. So that's just a real quick snapshot of what the iPOS is. Our audience, so like I said, all programs are required to fill it. We have over 2,100 faculty and staff that have access to the iPOS today. Basically every active graduate student has it, and then over 2,700 unique faculties that are on students committees. So just real quick, I'll just walk through what a new student that hasn't filled out an iPOS sort of would look like, and then we'll kind of dive in from there. So this is a screenshot of what the iPOS would look like on the staff side. So students may not see all this stuff right off the bat, but when they first come in to submit their iPOS, the first thing they'll see is the welcome section. It has a nice video that touches on what the iPOS is. We ask that all students read through the policies and procedures, understand what continuous enrollment means, academic integrity is, and then they select and confirm that they understand that. From there, they would go to the degree requirement section, and I'll touch on that in a few slides, but this is really focused around on allowing the students to pick what their requirements are. So for example, maybe English may have a couple of different degree requirement options. They may be able to do applied project or a capstone or a thesis. So based on what the student selects in this section will drive what courses in the course requirement section displays. With the new iPOS that we launched in 2018, we were really intentional on going down to those course requirements. So if a program has really predefined set of courses, we lay those out and the student can pick them and plan when they're going to do those courses. In the past, before we had done the rewrite for the iPOS, it was really kind of the wild, wild west of that, and we only did the Coleman experience. We tracked that. So I think that's been a good update for that. And then once they pick their courses, they go to the advisor section. They can see a view-only page of their staff advisor, get a phone number, contact email. So in case they have any questions, they can follow up with their advisors. They'll then pick their faculty committee. And then from there, they go to the summary submit page. It's basically a review of all the items that they've filled out, and they select submit. As long as there's no errors, they'll go to the academic unit for review, and the academic unit can either approve it or send it back to the student or And then once the academic unit approves it, it goes to the graduate college for review. And then once that's approved, it's a completed, submitted iPOS. So a lot to just walk through really quickly, but I wanted to touch on that at least so there's a quick understanding of that. And we could talk about that all day. So just a brief idea, here's some of the different systems that use the iPOS. The graduate student progress is one of our analytics sites. So I'll dive in here in a minute, a little bit deeper on that. My programs, the My Programs box is really one of the main ways we communicate with students in regards to iPOS. So if there's any sort of action required, the students are going to see that on their MySU and different kind of resources and information. So this example is showing that they need to update one of their courses on their iPOS. It could have been that maybe they said they were going to take one course and they took something different. We flagged that in the iPOS. This one also says their anticipated graduation term is lapsed, so they need to update that. So that's one area. And then lastly, the Salesforce student profile is another area. We have a lot of iPOS data. This is really meant to be a 360 view of the student within Salesforce. And then we have a variety of different enriched user tables, reports, and things of that nature that are available. So where's the data available? So our graduate student progress site is really our bread and butter for operational reporting. We have over 30 different kind of basically pre-built reports that users can go in and export and filter to get the data that they need, ranging from enrollment, student progress, academic affairs, curriculum, special populations, and previous terms. And just kind of diving into that, these are some of the different reports that are available. So things like enrollment, you can see if students are meeting continuous enrollment or not, if they've dropped all their classes, if they're on a leave of absence, what service indicator holds do they have on their record. On the progress and retention side, you can look at things like what's their format status, do they have any iPOS course errors, what classes and grades have they taken. You can get a list of students that don't have an approved iPOS, students with under a 3.0 GPA. Academic affairs, you can go and see faculty committee and their corresponding students. You can see the faculty committee approval types. So have faculty been approved for graduate faculty, blankets, things like that. And then on the curriculum, you can come in and see iPOS program requirements. You can see a list of all the active graduate programs, all the 4+1 accelerated degree program offerings, concurrent programs. And then on the special populations, you can get a list of 4+1 students, Santana, IDP, Mayo, Witchy. So we're always looking to improve this and add more reports as there's need. So please reach out if you have any good ideas. And I know we have some that we're still working on too. So we also have some enriched data sets on the enterprise user database. So we have 3 different enriched data sets that are available for users today. All it takes is just an access request and we'll approve it. The first one's looking at our iPOS program requirements. So really, if you want to understand the degree requirements that are in those specific, that are also programmed in the iPOS, this is a report that can get you that list. We have our curated data set for graduate student progress. So we recently redesigned our data model that drives, I would say 75% of the reports on our student progress site. So we have about 70 or 80 different fields on there. Many of them are iPOS related that are available. And then lastly, a curated data set on 4+1 students and their current status. You can also find this data on the Data Analytics Success Hub, or DASH. It'll link out to our student progress site. It'll give you more information on the enriched data sets, and then also you can download the full list of active students on Excel or Power Query here too. And they have great instructions. So iPOS data structure. So the iPOS pulls from a lot of different delivered PeopleSoft tables as well as custom that we've built. So things like the PS ACAD Prog, ACAD Plan subtable to get really that student data information. We also pull from the students, the delivered kind of the program plan, subplan, and plan extensions data to get really program and plan information. And then we have a series of different program requirement structure tables that PeopleSoft delivers. That really is how we sort of build out the iPOS requirements. And I'll kind of walk through that a little bit here in a bit. And then we have a series of different custom tables that we store all the iPOS data in. And I'll highlight some of these as we go through the different sections. This is not a complete list, but it covers a lot of the various information that you can get here. So we use, like I said, we use a combination of delivered and custom tables. We do push some data back to the program plan stack, which would go into the ACAD prog, ACAD plan subtable. And then to key off of what that degree requirement looks like, we use the requirement term field, and that helps us to really hone in on what those requirements are for the student per catalog year, in case things change from year to year, as program requirements sometimes do. So this is walking through visually kind of the course requirement setup for the iPOS. So we start at the academic program, which is really, think of it as the college, then we walk down to the academic plan, and then we go into what's called a requirement group in PeopleSoft. And then from there, it's the program requirements. So we're setting up the course requirements, the course lists, and the courses. And then sometimes the program options. So if they have, which we use subplans for that. So if they have different culminating experiences or flavors of what that would look like. We have the academic subplans. So we go down to entity groups, and then that's how we derive the credit hour requirements, culminating experience requirements, and the faculty committee requirements. So in many cases, some programs may require one faculty committee to serve on the iPOS. It could be 3, it could be 5. So that's how we track a lot of that. Right now, we do this, most of this is manually set up. We'll actually be moving this into the quality system here very soon, where a lot of this will become much more automated, which we're very excited about. So this just is talking more about the course requirements. So we compare the start date of the term to begin date of the student's requirement term to the effective date of all the tables associated to really pull that information. We compare the student's subplan, which is really how we drive those, is it a capstone and how many hours, or is it a thesis and or applied project? So that's kind of how we drive a lot of that. And then that's how we basically present the appropriate requirements. Dictates the course sections, credit hour requirements, courses presented to the students. And this is how it looks. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a nice kind of list view and degree search. And then you can see some of the PeopleSoft pages where we have to go in and build these things out with the course list summaries, and then the line item details to pull out the required core, the concentration of the requirements. So this one will look at the different sections of the courses in there. And this is what it looks like on the iPOS. So if they come into the courses section, we have them broken out by different sections here. So this example, they have a required core, concentration, electives and research, open courses, and a culminating experience. If the student was to pick the add required core, you can see that we basically predefine in this pop-up window a list of the courses that are required as part of that required core. iPOS is also smart enough to know that if you've taken that course, we will bring it in. If you haven't, then you'll see, it's not going to have a term and session available. So you could select those choices and then decide which future term you'll be using those for. So like I mentioned, there's a couple of different ways to get this data for those that are interested. So we do have a pre-built report on the curriculum reports on iPOS program requirements that gives a list of what the plan program is, the requirement term, the degree options, and then it'll list out the course sections, the minimum units, and then the courses. And then we also have an enriched data set that you can actually, if you're more of a power user or really into the data and you want to query the data yourself, we have a table that you can use for that as well. Okay, so next topic I'm going to touch on is the iPOS Staff Advisor. So for students, there's a section called Staff Advisor where it'll list out the staff advisor's name, have a picture, their phone number, and email, and then some general department contact information. We also launched in the last year a managed staff advisor tool that enables advisors and support staff to go in and actually assign advisors to individual students. Prior to that, it was at the program plan level. So now you can get more detailed into which students within your program are you actually the advisor for. And then we actually pull that information into the iPOS and MyASU as well. If you're interested in how we do that or querying some of this information, if you haven't gone in and assigned advisors to students, then we use what's called our default advisor information. And this comes from two ASU custom tables, the ACADP extensions and ACADP context at the top. And then if you do go in and actually, if you do go ahead and do custom or do assignments, then we have two custom tables that store the assigned staff advisors and then the history as well. So things change over time. You get a history of that as well. So that's iPOS staff advisor. And we do have a report available. It's called the staff advisor assignment. Get a list of all the programs and assigned advisors to what students. We also, with our recent rewrite of our data model, most of the reports now also have staff advisor as a column available. So things like if you want to look at what's a good example of students with under 3.0 GPA, you can see who the staff advisors that are assigned to those students are. Or I want to look at those that have applied to graduate, you can see who the staff advisors are assigned to those students too. There's a few more we're still working through to get updated, but I would say 75% of the reports have that data available too. So the next topic is iPOS faculty committee. So each student's required to have their faculty committee set up. So basically they can go and select their committee and they can search for different faculty. They can use our graduate faculty tools if they're looking to find specific students in different levels of endorsements. So the committee roles are chair, co-chair, and member. We're always required to have either a chair or co-chairs on here. And then some programs you can see here, it says this one has 2, some may have 3, 4, it just kind of depends on that program. And this information we store in a custom table called PS ASU AA POS ADV. The advisor ID is the faculty member's employee ID, and then you can get the role. So our 1 equals committee chair, 2 equals co-chair, and 3 equals committee chair. And we also have a report available for this. So if you just want to pull a list of your college or your department or program plan, you can do that too. So this is a list of all the faculty committee and their corresponding students. We show both active and students that have completed their degrees. So if you want to see some trends over time, we have the data available for that too. And that's on our student progress site under the academic affairs section. And we also have a faculty committee report. So if you want to see what their approval types are, whether they're graduate faculty or they've been approved for like a 5-year blanket, or maybe they're a one-time faculty member. So maybe maybe they're external to ASU and they are serving on one student.
Hold on.
So next section, I know I'm jumping through a lot of different things. So is the iPOS petitions. So iPOS petitions are many different things, and this is just an example of what the page looks like. So you can see this student wanted to do a course change on the left-hand side. So you can see the courses they added, the courses they removed, and then you can see the approval history. You can also see things like the standalone petition. So if someone submitted for a leave of absence, or they're actually just doing an iPOS approval, you can see the comments back and forth. And we track these different milestones using the custom table of PS, ASU, AA, POS, PTN. And best practices when you're looking at this for a specific milestone within these petitions, you always want to use the max effective date, max effective sequence number, and max effective sequence to get that, basically the max of it all. These are some of the different milestone types within the petitions that we track. So things from, is the iPOS approved? Have they deviated from have they done a course change? Have they requested to change the requirement term to maybe get some different degree requirements? Have they requested a time extension to their grad time limit? Do they need a leave of absence? Have they deviated from their core course requirements? Have they completed their capstone, applied project, written exam, research paper, thesis? So there's this table stores quite a bit of different information pertaining to the graduate students. So we have a couple different ways you can get a lot of this information. So our classic dashboard view is encompasses, I'd say, about 50 different fields. Many of them are iPOS specific. And it's a great report if you want to get a good snapshot of all the different data on that student. You can also look at things like the culminating experience status. So if you want to see where the student's culminating experience is, that might be a good one too. And then we also have an enriched data set. So the AA GSP current ENT table is a really good one to get all that information. It's really a copy of the data model and some of the different data blending we've done. And then on the student defenses, so students that are completing their thesis or dissertation have to defend. And so we store part of the iPOS, the students go in and schedule the defense. So we store this information in a couple of different tables. So the ASU POS defense table stores the different defense information. So their time, their date, their location. Are they doing their defense online? Are they doing it in a kind of a sync modality, or are they doing it only in person? And then all this information is also available on MySU, as well as we have a little web app called the Defense Calendar that we publish the defense information, so the public could join as well. These are just some examples of some of the defenses we saw during COVID that were specific to the COVID. Either students changed their research and went into looking at things in COVID, or they were already doing things similar to this. So just kind of a cool, looking at the defense titles, what is some of that research that they were looking into? So I found this really interesting just to see, example, looking at employee well-being during COVID-19 was as one. But so, and then we have a report for scheduled defenses. So if you want to see a list of your students that have scheduled or need to schedule or haven't scheduled their defenses. Oh, PowerPoint just went off. Go back there. Sorry about that. Okay, so we do have a report that's available for that as well on our student progress site. And then the last piece of the new kind of the iPOS sections to look at was this is something we recently rolled out to graduate students. Is we've asked for how the ASU's design aspirations, how the research relates to the design aspirations. So is it, and then we asked for a brief explanation of how that would apply based on those different categories. This information is stored in ASU A design ASP, and really just it's the choices they fit and then a brief description. So we found so far, we've been doing this for, we piloted with engineering and then we rolled this out in the last semester. So far 48% of students have chosen their primary design aspiration related to conduct, use inspired research. And then the other two higher ones were fuse intellectual disciplines and transform society. Some interesting stuff. I think we'll have some reports on this coming soon. And then I just wanted to briefly touch on the new data model that we created. So we took our the older data model that we had created using a tabular model, been created about 7 or 8 years ago. It was a workhorse. It worked really well. It wasn't the most flexible thing. So as we got new requests, it took time to make those adjustments without impacting anything else with our existing reports. We recently rebuilt this in Alteryx. So this is just a visual of what it looks like at a very, very small level. Looks like a lot going on, but it's a lot more flexible and a little bit easier for us to handle what those changes look like. And then some of the new updates we have within this data model is we have a special population field. So if you're looking for 4+1, IDP, Mayo, Witchy, athletes, that information is available. Staff advisors and the assignments are there. Names now are all preferred first and last name. We have some department monitored requirements on there, and it's a lot more efficient and flexible for us to work and continue to help add new reports and new data elements that are needed. The existing data model ran in about anywhere between 45 minutes and over an hour, and this one runs another 20 minutes. So it's been a good value add from a time efficient perspective. Lastly, just some of the iPOS projects that are coming soon. We'll be launching, we're so close to this, we'll be launching a professional development section in the iPOS that allows students to go and add and track some of the professional development opportunities they've been doing. We have a progress audit tracker that's been in beta for a while. We've gotten some really good feedback from staff and students. So this is really going to allow us to, at a very high level, say, are students meeting, are they meeting everything? Are they on track? Are they off track? Or do they need attention based on all these different data elements that we have in the iPOS and about the student? So we're planning to launch that soon and roll that out to faculty and students. We're with DocuSign going away from the university level. We'll be incorporating our pass-fail process. So this is for students that need to complete their thesis or dissertation. We'll be moving that into the iPOS, make that a little bit more streamlined. We're looking at doing some surveys into the iPOS in the future, looking at more faculty-centric tools within the iPOS. So faculty can now approve iPOSs. We'd like to expand that to several other areas as well. The quality curriculum management integration. So as degree requirements change or new programs come on, having an integration between quality and our iPOS program requirements will be, we're pretty getting closer to that. Doing some conditional admissions tracking within the iPOS. So if students are admitted with provisions or deficiencies, having a tool within the iPOS that could allow support staff to say, yes, they've taken these, or they actually took different courses, and they can kind of add and update that, and then doing some more enhanced integration with 4+1. So with that was a lot I know to cover in a short period of time. So let's see if there's any questions. I see Shelley had a question on how are optional courses handled in the requirements. It's a great question. So they basically if they're defined courses, but they say you want to take, I need 6 credit hours from a list of I don't know, 4 or 5 different courses. We would display those courses and then allow the student to pick which ones and add some instructions on that. Well, thank you for listening to me talk for the last 30-ish minutes. So I'll stick around if there's any questions. And if you think of something later, you're welcome to Slack me or email me. And I think they'll be sending the PowerPoint out as part of the data conference piece. So,
Steve, that looks great. There's some really good stuff that's going on.
Thanks. Yeah, we've been working hard with the whole team, and so lots of good ideas to incorporate in here in the near future.
Is there an easy way to see where all the requirements for a given plan are?
Yeah, we have a report for that I can send to you in an enriched data table or user table that has some of that information too.
Okay, so is the tracking that you're talking about going to be like the pizza thing? Is like they're 25%, that kind of?
Yeah, we had a lot of different visuals on there, and what we heard back from the students was it was a little bit too much. So I think we're going to simplify it, but it'll be really an easy way to see, based on all the information we have, are you meeting all those requirements right now and on track, or maybe you have an iPOS error, or you haven't done something, you need attention or off track, and then we'll have a couple of different visualizations that go with that too. And that'll be a new section in the iPOS.
So one of the ways I see us using your data sets, because we're trying to, will you have a data set that says on track, not on track? Because that's one of the things we're asked for a lot, is how well, and we're having to go to DARS and do some fancy dancing there. So is there, so I would think that we would go to the requirements and see how far they are, but would you have like a summary table that says Steve Yena is on track to graduate on blah, 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 in the spring, or not? So just like a simple data set that would do that?
Yeah, that's the idea. And then the other purpose for it is for the graduation office. So they review every iPOS. So a way that they could just see, here's a list of everyone that you need to really review, or these ones are going to be good to go. But yeah, you'll be able to query the data too.
Okay, so you anticipate another data set that would be easy to use?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Do the iPOSs have to be approved before the students can enroll in classes?
Not necessarily. They can enroll in classes and then use the iPOS after.
Okay.
I think it's strongly encouraged to probably do it before if you can, just from a planning perspective. But if they enroll in courses and then they go and fill out the iPOS, we'll pull that course information into the iPOS too. So.
Okay, and you said it's required for them to fill it out by like their 50% mark?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Hi, Stephen. I have a question. I work more on the curriculum side of things, so not really too much into IT or even graduate advising, but I was just wondering if you had anything that you would want faculty to be aware of, or someone in curriculum to be aware of when we're setting up degree requirements for things that might get tricky on the iPod?
So that is a great question. And I am probably not the best person to answer that. I know Janet's on here, but I would probably defer to Janet Duke, who's on here, or Amanda Morales Cabron.
Hello. Yeah, Rebecca, there are some things we found that can be tricky. Basically, if say core requirements, if people say like they must choose 3 out of, take 3 of courses out of this list. But then in another category, say electives or something, those courses also exist there. And so they could be optionally taken as a core or as an elective. That has been problematic. But basically, we haven't seen that happen with many plans. The core is really what is the hard and fast programmed courses. Some people leave the section for open courses if there's a lot of different possibilities, but we always warn that if you leave it open courses for a certain category, then really it's whatever people put in there. So if they put dance or whatever, so it's a little bit more, you have to monitor it more. So what's easiest is just to put the exact degree requirements for core, the exact requirement courses for each category, and then always knowing that if there's some outlier that a student would take, then they can add that, and a petition would just be generated saying that it would be a substitution.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you both so much.